You have to learn an amount of knowledge from which most people later say they have never used it again. Hello and welcome to this video about criticism on the educational system. I don't want to talk about a special educational system from one state. I like to discuss educational systems in general, because lots of states are very similar, and so what I say counts for many states. When you ask young people what they want to do after school, which job will they apply for, what are they striving for, most of them answer, I don't know. But when you ask younger children, they say, I want to be a policeman or firefighter. So you can see something in the educational system must go wrong, because when they are not yet at school, the younger children know what they want, but the youths or the older children, the adolescents, don't know what they want. And between this time is the school time. I don't want to count all criticism now. This would be a boring thing, because you already know things which go wrong at school from your own experience, and you heard enough from the news or social media or research reports, whatever. And there are also some aspects they already fixed or they currently try to fix. For example, in Germany, it was criticized that there is less free time for students on the secondary level. They have to go to school the whole day, sometimes 8 hours or more. And when they come home, they have to do homework, so they don't have any free time. And that's a big point, which is not very good, because for workers or employees, it nowadays is clear that there must be a work-life balance. So not just too much work, you must also care to have enough free time. And so they try to implement it at schools too. That's a good thing. And there are other aspects too. For example, they work on the educating quality. That means on the teaching quality. It works this way. Teachers can visit special seminars or other courses to increase their skills and learn how to teach in better ways. But in my opinion, this is just an adaptation. Why must teachers adapt to become better? More and more children are involved in social media and video games and whatever, and they are overstimulated from all this. And when they go into school, they often are not allowed to use their smartphones or their other media, whatever. And then they get nervous, because suddenly the overstimulation stops and there is just a teacher in the front speaking. And when you are overstimulated, a single teacher speaking seems to be very boring for you. A better thing would be to learn children or pupils about the risks from social media and video games, that they really understand why too much social media and too much smartphones and other video games are not good. The point, what I want to say, is the content. I counted just the few aspects which have been already changed, and or they are working on it, that it makes the educational system better. But these are just very, very few aspects. This will not really change the whole thing. It's just little adjustment here and there, but it's not to make it really better. I have reflected on it a very, very long time, not just from my own experience, also through researching. And for me, the most important aspect is the content. Consider when there would be a more interesting content which maybe can really help and really educate. Students automatically would be more interested and more concentrated and more motivated. There's lots of criticism on the subjects, on the content, not just from me, but in general. The subjects, they are educated nowadays, and they have been educated for, I think, the last 100 years or so, are maybe no more fitting in our current time. I don't want to say anything against elementary school, because I think calculating and learning reading and writing is a very essential thing, and I think elementary school is absolutely okay. There's nothing to say against it. But on the secondary level, whatever it is named in which country, it is more or less from the 5th class or nearby, maybe in other countries from the 6th class, I don't know. On this secondary level, you have to learn an amount of knowledge from which most people later say they have never used it again. So they want to say they wasted a lot of time at school. For example, when you take the basic subjects like biology. Biology is very interesting for some people. It's not that boring, like, for example, for some people mathematics is. But the problem is, you must learn lots of definitions which you will never use again later. There are just a few people, they want to study biology, or maybe parts of it you also need in medical studies, but normally you learn the most important things from biology in the study again. So with mathematics and physics the same, and there are even less students, they really want to study subjects like this. So the higher mathematics is not really useful for most of the people, and therefore you really can say you wasted this 10,000 hours of school. They say it's about 10,000 hours. I don't know if it is true, but let's say you wasted lots of time. But what really counts and what really could help everyone is not learned at school. In some schools, they learn how to apply for a job, but this is just an extra thing. It's not officially integrated in the schedule. This is, I remember in my school, one teacher was very interested to learn us this aspect, but it has officially nothing to do with the schedule. But this should be integrated into the schedule. Why not? Why not to learn the people how to apply for a job? And the same thing with insurances. Students should learn which insurance is important when you, for example, apply for a job, and or which insurance is generally important. For example, the health insurance. And the very basic thing are contracts. How can you rent an apartment? On which aspects you have to look when you make a contract with somebody, when you want an internet provider. And all this stuff is very important for your existence nowadays. And last but not least, why not learn young people how to have a good relationship with the partner? There are already some aspects of social competence, but this is also not official. It should become an official part. All that I have said until now were more ideas for a better existence, which they should implement in the educational system. But when I talk about the content, and you should change more or less the whole system and renew it, refresh it, maybe clear some subjects they are currently learned, or reduce them and implement other more essential subjects. But until now, I suggested existential aspects. They are also essential, but we can go deeper into it when we go more into the essential things. When we already talked about good relationships, why not teach psychology in general, or something about the soul, how to find yourself, how to find who you are, with a little more input about self-finding. Students can find out not just who they are, but also which is their potential. Jean-Jacques Rousseau said there's a potential inside of the children. And when we don't find out what the potential is, and just adapt the children to fit in the system and to become a good employee, and to function, and not just really to live, and to find out who you really are and what's your potential. They one day maybe will become a depression or a burnout or whatever, because they have just a function, but they have not really a work. You must see there's a difference between a job and a work. A job is just a job. You do it for the money and nothing more. But a work is something you are more identified with. It is something from what comes from within. In German, we say, which comes from your heart blood. You gave heart blood into it because it is from the soul. It has something to do with you. It comes from outside of you. But firstly, you must find who you are to find out this potential. What is your branch? Where will you go after the school? What I want to say is that the point of view is changing. It's not just we take the child and adjust it that it fits the system. It must be different from really more life quality. For people, it is better not to adjust them like a robot. It's better to find out what skills they have, what potential they have, and then let them work what they are, what better fits to their heart. As I earlier said, in existential things, that social competencies are important. We can go deeper into it as an essential thing, which is deeper on a more soul level. You can say people should learn something about tolerance, but not just from the outside. They really should learn it, not like what our understanding is from learning. They should learn it from experiences, from experience it, from explore it, from consider it, from, you can say, philosophize it. And it was actually the task of philosophy and of religions, including the school subjects, to learn people these essential things, but they have not really done it. It was their task, yes, but they made a learning process from it, and they make a burden from it for the pupils. And so they should not wonder when the pupils don't become tolerant and argue with each other in the breaks and don't integrate what they learned in their life. Because some of them get a blockade when they just have to, you have to be tolerant. When everyone or the teachers or other educators, like the parents also say, you have to be tolerant, you have to be good, you have to be kind. When everyone says to you what you have to be, do you really want this? A cool point from religion, for example, is from the Bible. I think it was Matthew 6, when Jesus said, don't sorrow. This is psychology. When he says, don't sorrow about the next day, this day, the burden of this day is enough. That's a very wise thing you can use in everyday life, and you maybe can reflect on it with the pupils. This will help them more as when they are just educated. You have to be this and that and kind and brave and good. No, better to tell them how to don't sorrow. Or not just psychology or philosophy or so. You also can deeper in modern sciences. Maybe we can implement modern sciences like neuroscience. You can show pupils the effects of learning in the brain with fMRI pictures. This maybe will be very interesting for them and motivating for learning. And you can go deeper and deeper in it and learn them about consciousness, or the difference between human consciousness and higher consciousness, and increase their life quality with it so they can benefit from it their whole life, and not just become a good worker, not just to adjust them that they fit in the working system or in the capital system, whatever. I don't mean it like politics criticism. This is another point, but it is not good to just adapt pupils to get a function in any place later, like a robot. A friend of mine, which is a medical doctor, already considered to implement consciousness studies in school or generally considered a change in the educational system. I linked it below in the video description. I recommend you to join his channel and of course mine too. Have a great day. See you next time. Bye.